Hi, I am Tig Tillinghast with Urban Forest Metrix, and this video will show you how to get information from Urban Forest Metrix, our tree inventory system, or the AUTI system, which is a version of it used by a lot of communities and nonprofits. To get this information out of the system and into iTree. iTree is a program that allows you to, well, what's particularly popular nowadays is to measure the economic benefits of the ecological effects of trees within an urban landscape. So this has been a very popular feature. First, we'll show you how to get the information out of AUTI or Urban Forest Metrix. And then the second part will show you how to get it into iTree. So before we even get going, I'm going to note that we have this guide here. I'm wiggling it around on the left-hand side. This is essentially a two-page, really it's a one-pager printed on both sides, guide, step-by-step, how to do exactly what we're going to show you how to do today. So if you like step-by-step directions rather than having to go through a video, this is available on our website and is pretty easy to follow. In fact, that's what I'm going to be following here. So I'll put that to the side and show you Urban Forest Metrix, which is pretty much the same thing as AUTI. And so this is the tree screen on Urban Forest Metrix. And we're using an inventory here that happens to have 96 trees somewhere in Maine. And all we need to do is make sure that we have the right trees found here in the tree screen, and then we'll go and export them. Now, I can do some narrowing of this. If I decide I want to just show all of the maples, I can do a find and look for maple, and it's going to say 5 out of these 96 trees are maples. And then I can export just those. But I want to find everything. So I'm going to go to records and say, show all the records. So now all 96 trees are there. And I'm going to go export these into Excel. I do that by going to the data page here, this little button up top. And I go to Exports tab. And here we have the basic iTree export. So I just click that and I name the file export from UFM. And I click OK. And what it's going to do is create an Excel document and stick it into an email that I can send to myself or send somewhere else. For this case, I'm just going to drag it onto my desktop because you don't need to send it anywhere. So now we have our Excel export. In fact, I'm going to go open that up. Just double click on it. And boom, there's our data that we have from these 96 trees. And you'll notice it doesn't have a lot when we're doing this import into iTree. It is not taking in all of the information we're entering. It's pretty basic. It's giving the tree number, the species code, DBH, lat long, and that's pretty much it. That's what we're going to be importing in. So this is what the Excel looks like. It's not pretty, but pretty useful. And that is pretty much it for the first part. That's how you get the information out of AUTI or UFM. And now what we want to do is open up iTree and pull this in. So I'm going to set this aside over on the other screen, and I'm going to pull up. I'm running Windows over here in a little virtual machine, and it is running iTree. So here's the iTree program. And all I need to do is go to the File menu and say New Project. And yes, it's a complete inventory. I'm going to click OK. And I'm going to title it. I'm going to call it A New Project. Press Save. So now it's going to have us configure the project. It's going to ask us some information that we have to enter. We don't have a choice. We can't go forward until we put this stuff in. So I'm just going to call this A New Project. The series name, we'll just say 1. The series year is 2021 when this data was taken. Under location, it's in the United States. It's in Maine. And the county I happen to know is Cumberland. And it's not Cape Elizabeth, it's Scarborough. Okay. Is the area urban? No. Weather and pollution year, we're just going to take the most recent data. And here's a trick. iTree is kind of an older program, and it's a little creaky and funny. And if I wanted to type in a weather station here, it often would not work. What does work is if you click on the show map, it'll pull up the area around the particular town you've chosen, and it will show these red things. And if you click on one, all of these weather stations will indeed work. So you just click the nearest one, press OK. And what that does is now it knows which weather data to use. It's a little excessive, but there you go. Some data collection options. We're collecting species and DBH. Those are required. And I'm also going to add one more thing. I'm going to add the map GPS coordinates because we happen to have that in there. And you can indeed choose these other things if you were to include that data. Our basic import just uses these basic, pretty much the species and the DBH are going to get you 99% accuracy versus all of these other pieces of data that you could theoretically enter in. So I click OK, and it's going to give us a warning. That's fine. And it shows us what reports are available. That's great. And we are essentially done setting up the project file. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on the Data tab up here. And for some reason, you need to click the trees before you can click on the Import button. And of course, here's where we're going to go get our Excel file that we've already exported. So I click on Import, and it opens up this wizard. So I'm going to go ahead and click Next, and it says, go find that file. So I click on the Browse button, and I'm going to go look for that file. What did we call that? I need to remember what we called it. Export from UFM, that's what we called it. Here we go. So I choose that file, and it shows me the data in here. And you want to be careful to click this. It says first row contains column headers. You want to click that so it doesn't think that first row is actually a tree. And then I click on Next. And now what it's going to do is have us match up the imported fields with the fields in iTree. So if I click on this first column here, which this is the first column, that is the tree ID number. So I'm going to click on this middle menu, I can click on ID. And this column is species, and it will require us to tell how we're entering the species. We're going to say code, because we're using the species codes here. And gradings DBH, we're going to say, yep, that's DBH in inches. And then here's the latitude, select longitude, and we're done. We've now told the program what's what. I guess that's about it. I'm going to go ahead and click Next. And it just imported 96 records. That's perfect. We have 96 trees. I click Finish. And here's my trees. So we now have an iTree project file with our trees in it, which is great. And the thing we need to do now is, if we want the reports, which is oftentimes why people are doing this in the first place, we would click on the Reports tab up here, and we'd click on Submit Data for Processing. So the way that iTree works is it doesn't just give you a report. You have to send this data up to a central server. It ruminates on it for a while after your turn comes around, and that can be some hours or it can be some minutes. It depends on what everyone in the country is doing at the moment. I'm going to go ahead and click on it. It's going to give you lots of material that you can read if you like that kind of stuff. I'm just going to go ahead and press OK. And now it's loading up our data. And congratulations, it's been stuck up there and it's in the queue. So now what we'll need to do is wait. It's usually a couple of hours in my experience. And then we'll click on the Track and Retrieve results. If I click on it now, it'll give us this little warning that you need to be patient. And after you click OK, it's going to go check to see what our place is in the line. And it's telling us there are 7 projects ahead of us. So we can torture ourselves by clicking that over and over again for the next couple hours, or come back later. So I'm going to go ahead and open up a project I submitted earlier to see if it is done. So I'm going to go ahead and click on this earlier one I did earlier today. And I just double click that project file. And oh, good, the report's done. And this is what that report looks like. It's essentially a glorified PDF, and it shows all of the various stuff, what's available. And let's see where you access that. It's not done yet. This is just showing us the kind of the stuff that would be available. We have 5 projects ahead, so this is going to take a while. This one was submitted maybe an hour and a half ago, and it's only 2 ahead in line of our other projects. So that might be later today. Okay, so I went and located a project file from a couple months ago that we ran and is actually finished, and we can actually see the report. And it would look like this. After going to the track and retrieve results, it would download this, and essentially we'd have an index of different PDF reports, and I just happened to choose the benefits and costs by trees. Essentially, it's going to show us some of the benefits by the tree species. So if I zoom in here, I'm going to zoom to 100%, and we can see, for instance, this is East Providence, Rhode Island, some of the benefits of it has a great inventory. The people did a really great job down there. Here's avoided runoff, carbon sequestration, pollution, and in iTree they give some somewhat good guesses as to what the economic externality costs are of those things like carbon runoff, pollution issues, and how much the trees mitigate that, and they come up with a dollar value. And you can see this by species. Then you go down to below, and you're doing things like saving $232,000 of runoff. And there's some really, really interesting statistics that come out of this, and it's really interesting to look at it broken out by these various things like species. And that's beyond the scope of this video to take you through that analysis. That's something that iTree itself does much better. So that's how to move things from Urban Forest Metrix or AUTI into iTree Eco. Just to note, we've been using iTree Eco in version 6.0.17, which is, as of this time, is the current version of it. We will make available on our site both links to this video and to that PDF document, that 2-pager that would get you going just by using those steps that I just followed here. Thank you very much.